Yo, what's up guys? Today we're going to be talking about 5 players who will be first-time All-Stars next year. Most of the players on the list are definitely comprised of Eastern Conference players, due to the fact a lot of front-court players moved out west this offseason. That's going to let a lot of young players who haven't broken out just yet finally get into their All-Star game for their first ever appearance. So let's get right into it. With our first honorable mention, I have Rudy Gobert. The only reason he isn't on the list is due to the fact that the West is completely stacked, with a lot of forwards obviously moving over. For front court players that moved over, you have Melo, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Paul Millsap, and besides Paul Millsap, I'd say all 3 of those players have a higher chance of making the All-Star game. Melo probably isn't as good as Rudy Gobert at this point in his career, but team success plays a part into it. And I don't really see the Utah Jazz as a playoff team, unlike the Thunder. And Melo's just a more popular player as well. Rudy Gobert will definitely have a solid season and will most likely be an All-Star snub just like he was last season. The next honorable mention would be Joel Embiid. Now hear me out guys, Joel Embiid is definitely talented enough to make the All-Star game. He was good enough last year, and he's also extremely popular. The only reason he's not on the list is due to health. Last year only played 31 games, and he also probably won't even be starting off the season healthy next year, so I can't trust his health. That's the only reason he isn't on this list. Talent-wise, he's definitely all-star material, and with all the front court members leaving, he definitely has a shot. If he stays healthy, I have no doubt in my mind he'll make it. But as long as that health is a question mark, it's going to be hard to get in the All-Star game only playing 30 games this season. At number 5, we have Bradley Beal. Now Bradley Beal had a phenomenal season last year. I thought he deserved to be an All-Star last year due to the fact that he had such a great season. His team had great success last year. Him and John Wall were a great pairing, and as a 3rd seed you would expect that team would have 2 All-Stars, but it just didn't turn out that way. With Kevin Love going down last season, I really hope, with Kevin Love dropping out of the All-Star game last season, I really hope that he would have been the replacement for Kevin Love last season, but Melo was instead. Now this year, I'm not really sure if he'll make it due to the fact how many great guards are in the league. With Isaiah Thomas being injured next season, he definitely has a chance to pick up that spot. His stats next year will probably be extremely similar due to the fact that he's really close to his prime, and I can't see him getting much better. But who knows, maybe he'll be able to put up some even greater stats. Last year, averaging 23 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds. As for team success next year, I don't expect anything better than the 3rd seed, but maybe they'll surprise. Some people even project them to be the 1st seed next year. I can't agree with that, but I can see where that's coming from. LeBron usually coasts during the regular season. The Boston Celtics need to figure stuff out with all the new pieces they've gained. And the Washington Wizards are about the same team they were last year, so they'll have all that chemistry down and be a great team from out the gate, unlike last year where they struggled very early. So Bradley Beal is quite the case to be an All-Star next year. I expect him to be an All-Star next year. Next up, I got Hassan Whiteside. Last year, he had a really weird season, going 11-30 in the first half of the season and 30-11 in the second half. He averaged 17 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 blocks last season. I'm really expecting him to average very similar stats to that, maybe about 18, 14, and 2.5 blocks. That's about as good as I'm seeing, as he's already 27, going on to be 28 next season. So he's already hit his prime. From what I've seen, he's hit his peak as a player. But if his team can win about 50 games, which with how good they did in the second half last season, and the Eastern Conference getting even worse, that's not as crazy as it sounds. It just goes to show how great of a coach Eric Spoelstra is. So yeah, I think Hassan Whiteside will be an All-Star next year with all the frontcourt players that left this offseason. Moving on, we have Myles Turner. Now that PG is gone, Myles Turner is really going to be able to run the show next season with the offense running through him and being the #1 option. As you've seen in my previous video, I stated that Myles Turner will have a breakout season, and I didn't say in that video that I thought he would be an All-Star, but I definitely do think that. Last season he averaged 17.5 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Next season I'm projecting him to average 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks, improving in all 3 categories. I project his team of the Indiana Pacers to really be a sleeper 8th seed next season with how bad the East is. And their roster on paper isn't really that bad. If Victor Oladipo can have a somewhat half-decent season, and I know Myles Turner will, they definitely have a chance to be a middle-of-the-pack team in the East, which is enough success to get a nod for the All-Star game next season. At number 2, I have KarlAnthony Towns. Now, KarlAnthony Towns is the only player on this list that's on the West that made it into the top 5. Last season, he averaged 25 points, 12 boards, and nearly 3 assists in a great season. That was definitely all-star worthy, but the only reason he didn't make it was due to the fact that his team had so little success last year. Really disappointed a lot of people who thought they were going to be an 8th seed next season, who thought they would be an 8th seed last season. He's definitely one of the most promising young players in the league. People project that he'll be one of the top 5 players in the league in a few years, but with the additions that the Timberwolves made, now his team will finally have the team success that has kept him from the All-Star game last season. I'm projecting his stats to only go up slightly due to the fact of all these additions. That addition being Jeff Teague and Jimmy Butler. So next season he'll average about, in my opinion, 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists, and hopefully some much improved defense due to the fact that they'll have another season with Tom Thibodeau, as well as Jimmy Butler to mentor him. Of course, Jimmy Butler's a perimeter player, unlike Towns, but KarlAnthony Towns has shown an ability to guard people out on the perimeter. Having Jimmy Butler there to help him will help him to even improve his perimeter defense next year. So you might be wondering whose spot I think he'll be taking next season, and I project that he'll probably take either DeAndre Jordan's or Marc Gasol's. Most likely Marc Gasol's, because I'm not sure if the Grizzlies are even a playoff team next season, and I'm sure that the Timberwolves are. At number 1, I have Kristaps Porzingis. Now, Kristaps is an extremely popular player who's very talented and has so much potential, and without Melo there, he's really going to be able to showcase that talent of his. With so little all-star caliber talent in the East, it's really opened up a opportunity for him to become an all-star next season. Last year he averaged 18 points, 7 rebounds, and an assist and a half. Next year I expect him to average 23.5 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists, improving in all categories. With Melo not there, he's really going to be able to take the next step in his game, as well as just having another year. And it feels like the Knicks finally have that cloud lifted off of their franchise that has been there for so long. With Phil Jackson finally gone and Melo being able to move on, the Knicks feel like they're in a good place. Of course their team won't have a lot of success next season, but Kristaps Porzingis sure will, with the stats he'll be putting up next season, in my opinion. So whose spot will he be taking? Most likely Paul George's or even a Melo's, but I project that Kevin Love will take back that Melo spot that was taken from him last year. Alright guys, that's all for this video. If you have any differing opinions from me, please let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and that's all for today. See you guys next time.